We are at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. Tony Katz. Today, we're here in D.C., actually just outside D.C., in National Harbor. We're at the Gaylord Hotel, and today's show paid for by Hoosiers for Opportunity, Prosperity, and Enterprise, and paid for by Americans for Prosperity, sponsored by PremierArms.com. And that's John Bachman of Newsmax. Well, he was the first guy at Newsmax who spotted me across a crowded room and said, I like that kid. That kid's got moxie.
He's got something.
He's got some chutzpah. He's got some pizzazz. I don't know who he is, but get me his agent. He doesn't have an agent. Even easier.
Even better.
Gonna make him a star. He started chain smoking cigarettes right there and then. Good to see you, man.
Always great to see you, Tony.
God, I wish I was good looking just once in my life.
Stop it. You're embarrassing me.
Dear Lord, not embarrassing. Newsmax growth. You've been there. You're like a year one guy, right?
13 years at the mothership.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Newsmax, now Newsmax 2, but you do a bunch of stuff behind the scenes. Just as a matter of how a network gets run. I think people, including myself, look at that Newsmax 2 idea and like, I don't understand what's happening. You created an entire roster of people. I mean, it's you, it's Ed Henry, it's Leventhal. You're talking about people who have got some gravitas, got some history doing news, and you created this competing interest.
And don't forget David Harris Jr., too.
I'm not trying to forget anybody. I just mentioned the shows that I'm on.
Okay.
And it's this competing kind of interest against Newsmax as a matter of building a brand. That's not diluting the brand?
No, not at all. I think you have two different kinds of audiences for the different products. You have the massive audience we were able to build with Newsmax when it was available without a subscription or without the paywall. We didn't want to lose those people, and we felt like there was a need for more content. And you don't think MSNBC is a competitor with CNBC. I know it's two different focuses, but we want as many people as possible. And with the expansion and the growth of streaming services and people streaming all their content, we wanted to make sure we're getting a foothold on that space. So you have your traditional linear television watchers. We love those folks. They're tuned in. They're subscribed to their cable or their content provider, and they're getting Newsmax 1. But for folks out there who want a free alternative, they want something else, Newsmax 2 is available and ready for them. So now let's talk about what happened after this election, because I never mind that I do appear a lot on Newsmax. I'm appreciative of that. I have gone through cycles with different cable news groups. I used to do a bunch of MSNBC back in the day when they would have guys like me on. Yeah, when they cared about a rounded conversation, right?
You guys have seen growth. The numbers do show an explosion in audience, and grabbing an audience today is outrageously difficult. We're not discussing what MSNBC is doing by not only refusing to learn, they can't learn their lesson. They have to do this and keep that very small base that they have. That seems obvious. Is Newsmax if you were listening to people describe it out there in the world, would they describe it as Trump 24/7? Would they describe it as more news? Where do you think your focus is?
I think our focus is much more simpler than that. It's just providing people with quality information that's going to make their lives better. And whether that's in the form of news or commentary from some of our hosts, I think we were able to fill that space. And of course, there was such an appetite for something new than the established outlets that were already existing. And Newsmax did have a smaller but established brand in and of itself, with the magazine and the website, very popular with Heartland Americans, working class Americans. And we were just able to kind of bolt on more folks to that core audience. And it's been so incredible having come here to CPAC since 2012, walking around here. Absolutely nobody knows who Newsmax is, or not as many people did, or who I was. But now you get stopped in the hall. We love what you're doing. People from all over the country say they're watching us, not just on the main network, but also on the streaming network now. And so that is very great to see. And it makes you feel good to be here.
Talking to John Bachman of Newsmax. Now let's get into where the stories are and the news are. Doge seems to be dominating everything, which is really much more the concept of, if you're going to drain a swamp, this is how one drains the swamp. is the reliance on Elon Musk something that Americans on the political right might tire of, or is this all, if you get results, keep going, kid?
I think that's it. I think if the results are there, then people will want Elon Musk doing this. If there's a point, and I think we kind of came close to that, where people started to ask what's going on here, and we saw Elon Musk get a meeting in the Eisenhower Executive Office building with the Indian Prime Minister Modi. Obviously, Elon Musk wants access to the Indian car market. So you wonder, like, is there some sort of, something going on here that we should be questioning about? But go back to the trust but verify type situation. As long as Elon Musk is delivering results and we're not paying for circumcisions in small African countries or Sesame Street in Iraq, those types of expenses, when Americans can't pay for their prescription drugs, or we see homeless people living on the streets, those are the priorities. Those are the reasons, those are the problems that Americans want solved, and why they elected Donald Trump. He told them he was going to do this with Elon Musk. I don't think people really anticipated it would be this successful.
So that's talking to John Bachman of Newsmax. I think that's the point. If you said we were going to drain the swamp, what exactly were people expecting?
Yes.
Like you have guests on. Do they issue surprise, and do you find yourself stunned that they're surprised? Like how does that
I do,
flow?
and I think it's not the same thing, obviously, but when Trump ends the congestion pricing in New York, and then Kathy Hochul holds a press conference where you see a bunch of New York officials clapping about the fact that working class people are getting charged more to come to work, I think that's part of Donald Trump's meta genius when he says, I'm not just going to make a policy. I'm going to make a policy that's going to force a Democrat to come out and defend what they've been doing, which is the status quo, which is the whole reason why America is in this position where you have the MAGA movement. We are all sick and tired of the status quo. And that's not a right-left issue. We've been promised results from Democrats and Republicans for my entire life, your life, and we haven't seen it. We've seen the debt and deficit get bigger and bigger and bigger. People want change. They elected change, and we're getting it now. And I am shocked to see Democrats and the left-wing media respond the way they do, not just on the congestion pricing, not just on the Doge stuff, but also on this Volodymyr Zelensky tussle that Trump has gotten into and the words that he's used to describe Volodymyr Zelensky. And I watched the media this morning, MSNBC and CNN, and I thought to myself, have you people not been covering Donald Trump for 40 years? Did you not watch The Apprentice when he was on television, where he would put all these ridiculous negotiating points on the table? Everything is on the table, and then ultimately there is a deal made.
I swear to you, we did not talk about this beforehand. Did I or did I not?
Like minds. It's so obvious. And that's why I get frustrated sometimes watching legacy media. Can you guys not take a fresh approach to this? Donald Trump says one harsh thing about Volodymyr Zelensky, they're right back to the Russia hoax again. You see the same people on television, Adam Kinzinger and the like, defending Democrats and these policies and the status quo of this one world policy, never yielded any results.
Hey, I oppose the language, but I know enough about Trump to know that what he says tomorrow could be very, very different. It's all about setting a table to see what deal can come. Yes. I don't know how many more ways you have to see it. Talking to John Bachman of Newsmax, and not only of Newsmax, he is the author of Turning Point, How Reagan Liberated Grenada and Ended the Cold War. You told me about this like a month or so ago. We were having a casual conversation. And you start getting into the history of Grenada. And I said, I may have misjudged John Bachman. Like that is a topic of, it was a small, loud slice of history is, I think, the best way to describe it. Where do you decide to write this book?
It started out as a book about the relationship between Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan over Grenada. Grenada, part of the British Commonwealth. And Ronald Reagan never gave Margaret Thatcher a heads up that he was actually going in to liberate Grenada. They were concerned about the American hostages on the island. So that's what the book started. That was a starting point for the book. What changed is when I started researching everything around Grenada, and you see the parallels between then and now. You see there was not much attention paid to the Western Hemisphere until Ronald Reagan came into office. There was no defense of the Monroe Doctrine really under Jimmy Carter. We saw the expansion of communism, 14 different countries between 1970 and 1980. had communist revolutions, and Grenada was one of them. What fascinated me too about Grenada is it's kind of a footnote in a lot of these historical stories. You think about the Beirut, Lebanon Marine Barracks bombing. That happened the same week as the Grenada invasion. A lot of people don't know about what happened in Grenada and everything surrounding that story. It was also the first combat operation for SEAL Team 6. And there was it was only a 4-day long conflict, but there was a lot of heavy fighting, much stronger than anyone anticipated. So it's a story about friendship between Thatcher and Reagan. It's a story about the actual conflict. A lot of the same problems that we have with our military conflicts today were present then. And it's really a story about resiliency and standing by your principles. Both Reagan and Thatcher, even though they had this kind of significant disagreement, it caused Margaret Thatcher an immense amount of political trouble, but she was committed to the goal. Reagan was committed to the goal, and they accomplished a lot because of that. And I look forward to writing my next book too, but this would be great. It comes out in April, and I look forward to talking more about it.
You can pre-order it on Amazon right now. Turning Point, how Reagan liberated Grenada and ended the Cold War. John Bachman, Newsmax 2, noon to 2, every Monday through Friday. Good to see you, man.
Always great to see you, Tony, and we will see you later tonight, I hope.
I'm told I will be on the Newsmax. I'm looking forward to having my own show on the Ocho.
The
Newsmax
Ocho, yes.
Ocho.
We will get there.
Is what I'm hoping for.
Tony Katz. What's the game gonna be on the Ocho?
Dodgeball. I'm gonna
cornhole. Beer pong.
I'm gonna get
cigar smoke ring competitions.
I can actually be the sponsor of that right there. You are a programming genius, John Bachman.
Thank you,
Newsmax 2. Check him out there. More to get to. I'm Tony Katz.